get lost. Where mental health will hide itself in camouflage. This is a fantasy, a vicious enemy. There is no remedy. While all the ghosts are you, my human ecstasy, lie here right next to me. While all the ghosts are you.
Back here on the Seth Williams Show with Chris Aiken, and we're joined now by the lead singer of Blackheart Saints, Josh.
How's it going?
How you doing,
What's
man?
up, man?
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yep, we see you. We hear you, man.
All right.
We're close to the fire, man, because we were talking politics and hardcore shit before you got on here. So we want to know exactly what you think about Biden, Trump, and where the country is going.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
We stick to music, man. That's all we
There
do.
you go. Good answer, man.
Thought I'd toss you out there right at the beginning. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Well, dude, it's really cool to be. I will admit, I am, and I think Seth is too. We're just discovering your band, even though you've had some success on Billboard and you've had some cool tours. We're discovering the band for the first time, and I think our audience probably is too. So why don't we start there, man? Why don't you give us a little background on the band, how you got together, and how you got to where we are today?
Sure, man. We've been together for a little while, and I think that's the story of our life, is that it's just hard to get discovered. I think for anybody out there trying to chase his dream, and we're thankful for guys like y'all that kind of help get bands that are up and coming discovered. So the band got started back in 2014. We all kind of moved to the music capital of Austin, Texas, to try to, do something with music, and been fortunate enough to find the right guys. And, we kind of had a little bit of a trial and error at first. And then probably after the first year of being together, we really had it locked in and got the guys that fit the image and the game plan, and really was hungry and wanted it. And it's been, off to the races.
Right on, man. Well, dude, you bring up the point about being focused, and it's kind of the double-edged sword. I've been interviewing bands for 20, 30 years at this point, and I know every band that you've ever heard pretty much. And the one thing that is always the weird balancing act that I always find, especially with new bands, is balancing between it being business and it being fun. And you can't only, it's the weird thing that the successful bands will tell you, well, you got to keep the business in mind all the time. And that's not true either. It's and then the obvious, the ones that flame out a lot of times because they're partying too much instead of keeping their eye on the prize. Where do you guys find that balance between keeping it fun and keeping it professional and making it a business choice versus a lifestyle choice?
Sure. I think that comes down to members, man. Everyone has their own game plan in mind, and this is what we had in mind. We wanted to do it as a career. This is, we spent a lot of years trying to build up our craft and talent and exposure and all that good stuff. So I think just having the right like-minded people with us and seeing the goalposts and reaching that each time, that keeps us motivated. Of course, like I said, there's a game to play. How do you kind of, become a successful band, commercialize, while also staying true to your roots and writing songs that mean something to you. And, I think it's just a hard game. It's a hard balancing act. But if you want to do this as a career, I think you just have to be open-minded to every option.
And that's kind of what I wanted to know, is that there's a fine line between having your art that you like and the music that you like to make and what the record companies, what people want to hear sometimes as far as the hits go. I know a lot of people where they say the hits fucking suck, but the ones that are, the B-side stuff it really rocks. And so is it tough for you to pick the stuff that you like and stuff that you think is going to hit?
I think it comes down to feeling, man. We've been fortunate enough to kind of have people that are willing to let us kind of have reins of things. So we still have a lot of input on what we want to do. Things are kind of tossed at us. And again, we just, if it feels right, we do it. If it don't feel right, then we have that talk, and that's kind of, meet me in the middle. we're not going to agree on everything. And again, you gotta be okay with that and trust the process, as they say. And it's just been working for us that way.
Right on, man. Well, dude, I noticed that you're signed with Cleopatra. They are a label that has very much changed over the last 15 years or so. I mean, I can remember when I first started working in print and in radio, Cleopatra was nothing but cover albums. It was always like, here's the industrial version of Guns N' Roses, and here's the country version of Metallica. It was always these weird things, but they've really kind of stepped up, and they're picking up a lot more bands like yours that are original. For you guys, what went into the choice there? Because I mean, like you said, you look at the business of it. I'm sure you saw that they did a lot of strange stuff that was not necessarily built toward building a band. What was it that they brought to you that made you think that, they've kind of changed the ship in the right way to where they would be a smart working relationship for you?
I think from my understanding, Brian I think he started off as like a t-shirt shop or something,
Sure.
Making prints for bands and stuff, which is really cool. I didn't even know much about him until recently. The Capitol Records and all that good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are staple names. Cleopatra wasn't something we really knew, and that's kind of where a manager came into play, and John Gomez, and he kind of took us under his wing, and he knew Brian personally, and we kind of sat down and talked, and now Brian's in Austin, Texas, so it kind of made sense to jump on board with that. How much our label's doing these days, that's another, question to be answered by somebody. But it's good to have their support. It's good to be on a label. It's good to be taken as a serious band. And I mean, like I said, I personally been doing this for a lot of years, and really wanted this opportunity to finally happen, and here it is. So I'm blessed for that.
How tough is it making money these days with the record label, with the manager and everything else, and getting seen and all that kind of stuff with the digital age? How tough is it for a band like you to make money if without the touring and everything? How tough is it?
Extremely tough, man. I think a lot of people have been coming out about the streams number matching how much is being paid out and stuff like that. And I think that's very true. It's hard to make money, which is where it goes back to the whole label and where they're able to really support a band. It's not like it was back in the day, where they're able to take that risk, and a lot of the bands are having to take that risk on their own. And it's good too, because again, we can keep everything in our hands, and we could kind of, oversee everything. We do a lot of our own bookings, and that's kind of, the tour is the only way for us to really make money. And we still have our hands pretty much completely on that fact. So as long as we kind of keep doing our bookings, we kind of make money that way by being out on the road,
Sure. What do you think about, and maybe you never even thought about this, but I only noticed it because I get the emails every day. I've noticed that Century Media, it's obviously a very heavy metal label. They all of a sudden are moving all of their stuff in their history, all 20 whatever years of history, over to Bandcamp. They're moving like everything there. And at first I was kind of surprised when I started seeing it, but then I started thinking about it, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense, because even though you don't get paid for the streams, you guys ain't making any money from Spotify or Apple anyway. But at least if you're on Bandcamp, you can sell your merch, and you can announce shows, and you can sell tickets if you want to, or meet and greets or whatever, directly with people hearing your music. It's almost like maybe that's the direction the industry or the industry should go, because it should profit you guys more. What do you think about that?
Man, that's not an avenue we really discuss. My guitarist we call him a mad scientist, because he's able to kind of figure all these little things out for us. It kind of really has a strategy with some of these things of helping us kind of get discovered. I think it's just a weird time, man. I don't think anyone kind of knows where this is all going. Definitely, if you want to talk about AI and look at what Kiss is doing.
Yeah.
Now they're talking about a digital performance, and so the musicians don't even have to be there. So I really don't know, man. It's a crazy time to be a musician.
Yeah, it is.
So where did you guys get your style from? What kind of bands did you guys listen to? Where do you emulate? Where'd you get your inspiration for your music?
I mean, of course, there's so many bands. I mean, we could name 1,000 bands that have inspired us over the years. I think we've all kind of kept our head into, the radio hits, which is why we kind of write the way we do. Obviously, keeping it rock and roll by the bands that inspired us, from Guns N' Roses to, the Motley Crue, to Zeppelin, the 70s, 80s, 90s, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots. I mean, the list can go on from rock to soul, and then each member in the band has their own, influences. And when we came together, this is what happened. So it's cool.
Yeah, and that's the unique thing about your tunes. Your tunes, I read the bio, and the bio made no sense to me, quite honestly. That whole, it's modern sound mixed with classic rock sound. I was like, no, it's not. It's really not. It's its own, to me. You guys are making your own sound. I can hear, I personally hear a lot of Soundgarden and what you guys do. And I also hear a lot of 80s rock sound as well, but I don't hear the rip-off influence from any of it. What you guys are doing is very, very unique to yourselves. I don't know if it's musically or if it's just your voices. And I know you've heard that before. Your voice is very unique. That might be what I'm hearing, but how do you separate from falling too far into influence versus keeping your music your own?
Right. I think it's funny because I just saw a video of Lemmy kind of answering this question where he goes, how do you feel about people ripping off your stuff? He goes, well, I think it's great. Maybe they'll come up with something that I can rip off from them. And I think that's, it's a question of, we don't know where to fall into this rock and roll, nowadays. So everyone keeps wanting to say that we're outdated sounding, or, so we're having to try to find a way to try to, stay true to, we are a classic rock sound. Those are the bands that inspired us, but we also want to say that we're writing stories from today. Maybe things are going to affect people that we're going through today instead of from back then. So trying to keep it a modern sound to some degree. So, we really, to us, we're just a rock and roll band, a small rock and roll band from Austin, Texas, just trying to have a good time and hope that people come to the shows and experience that and have a good time with us.
And see, something you said that kind of struck a chord with me, because I want to punch people in the face when I'm watching these stupid award shows and they have categories of rock, and none of the music is actually rock music. It's all this pussy, crappy rock that isn't good stuff anymore. And I don't understand this new generation of rock. And rock radio is kind of letting me down a lot. Up here in Cleveland, it's letting me down. But there's got to be a breakout once again of that good, hard, heavy-hitting rock music that we all love. And hopefully you guys can spring forward into that, because some of this music is just ridiculously bad.
He ain't going to say yes. He's not going to say yes.
You have to agree with me that a lot of this rock music out there isn't the same good rock music that we grew up with. It's just a bunch of crappy, tight jean wearing, loafer wearing hippies with a guitar that want to go out there and call it rock music. It's not the same rock music that you guys are playing.
Well, I'll say this. Look, when we show up, it's a plug and play. There ain't nothing else to it. Dude. We keep it raw, organic. If we don't practice, we sound better. If we don't get a sound check, even better.
And you guys have played some notoriously difficult places. Like, I saw in there that you played Sturgis. And that is not a friendly confine if they don't like you. If they don't like you, they let you know, and they let you know for every second that you're on that stage. How was that experience for you guys?
Man, the last few years has been really cool being at, Full Throttle Saloon, which I grew up watching the TV show. But when we first got out there to try to really kind of get ourselves, the exposure, we were playing at this venue down the road. But the whole band had to stay inside of the venue in these bunk beds, no AC. I mean, we're just motorcycles at 7:30 in the morning pulling into the venue,
right,
revving it up. So it's been a long road to where we are now. But and again, every time we go, we come back licking our wounds because we have a little too much fun. But it's a great experience, man. I'd rather people be honest with us than people BS us. If you don't like us, then you don't like us, and again, I rather that honesty. They received us pretty well, and they keep calling us back, so we keep showing up.
All right, so I have to live vicariously through guys like you, because basically I'm a one-legged DJ, podcast, radio guy. And so I live my life thinking about what your life is actually like. Now, I'm assuming that you guys aren't married. You travel on tour buses, get the hot chicks on the bus. You got the bags of whatever sitting next to you and bottles of liquor everywhere. Is that how great the road is?
Back in the day, sure. Not today. That's why we feel like we grew up in the wrong era. You know, we want to be back in the good times where we didn't have video of everything. You know, everything gets video these days. So you can't get away with the things that you want to. But yeah, we have a lot of fun, man. There's a lot of stories that are very, you know, not family friendly.
Right? No doubt, man. Well, dude, talk a little bit about the success that you've had with several of your tracks on Billboard, because it's one of the things Seth and I do argue about is what is the value of radio today? You know, back in even 10 years ago, if you had a track on Billboard, you pretty much made it. Like if you had one track on Billboard, you would get 10 more that would just make it based on that first one. It's not like that today, man. Billboard, it just doesn't seem like charting matters as much as it did back then. You guys have had, what, three songs that have all been on the mainstream charts for Billboard.
Right.
How has that helped you, if any?
It's definitely helped. You know, again, when it comes down to us having to keep everything in our own hands by booking and everything, it's definitely has helped personally. But as in, you know, the return on that risk that we took to try to make that happen with the campaigns and so forth. It's hard to kind of justify it to some degree. I think there's a place for it.
Sure.
But there's so many avenues that, you know, it's almost you have to spin so many plates and hope that you grab a little bit from each one and hope for the best. You know, I mean, I think back in the day, like you said, if you had a song hit the radio and it did pretty well, I mean, it was game over and you're able to kind of maybe live off of that. Yeah. Nowadays, you know, here we are 4 songs in and them all charting to some degree. And, you know, we're still out there trying to figure out, you know, how to make $1 off this industry.
Right. What's more important now? A charting song or getting on a hot playlist?
Ooh, I would say playlist, man. Man, that's hard. We've had great success with playlists and getting, you know, the audience from all over the world, you know, same with YouTube and everything else.
Sure.
As in with the radio, you're only going to reach certain markets and reach certain fan bases and who is listening to the radio, etc. And I would say maybe the same thing for XM. It's probably who's listening to that station and everything like that. So you can only pick so many ears compared to maybe a streaming platform, say a Spotify or Apple Music. They've been very helpful. We've seen, again, I mean, how do you justify the numbers and what's coming back from that? I can't figure that out. You know, the numbers look great, and I would think that would open up a lot more doors, and it just hasn't, you know.
Right.
So, where are your favorite places to go when you're touring? I mean, you tour a lot, so where are your favorite places to go? And are you coming to Cleveland anytime soon? You got to come up here.
We do. Which we may do this next year. We usually pass through Michigan and stuff, so that's very possible. We need to get out there to Ohio. Again, like I said, we're just, you know, we got to go where the phone call comes in from and where the demand is, and you know, we want to get to every place. The more people that find out about us and hear about us, I think the more that's gonna be possible. Some of the favorite places, I think, you know, I mean, you can't beat Colorado. You know, the weather's always great. We always try to go up north when it's summertime and get some of that cool weather that y'all hold on to. I mean, you know, we haven't done a West Coast in a while, but that was always fun, hitting up California and hitting some of the legendary places like, you know, the Viper Room and stuff like that. Man, we love all the places, man. We like being on the road. We like smelling each other, you know, all that good stuff.
Nice. Dude, tell me a little bit about the experience playing for the troops at Fort Hood. Because as a veteran, I know when the bands came, we just lost our shit for the bands coming to actually play for us and only us, you know. So how was that experience for you playing for the troops at Fort Hood?
Well, thank you for your service, first off.
Sure, man.
And it was awesome, man. I mean, that's experience, you know, that you don't really get I mean, I hope we have more of those opportunities, but it's something that I wasn't expecting a rock and roll band to be doing when I signed up for this thing. But that was the best, community service I could have ever done. It's
Right.
These people are giving their lives to, keep us free and keep us, doing what we're doing. So, a thank you doesn't even serve the purpose. And just to see the excitement out of them, to have entertainment there was absolutely amazing. They were freaking. They were asking my guitar player, "Can you play some Smoke on the Waters?" And it's like 3 chords, and they're freaking out about it. And it's just like, we go to the green room. He's like, "Man, I just couldn't believe how, enthused they are about having us here." And they treat us, like royalty. It was unbelievable, man.
And see, in my brain, once again, he said we went back to the green room, and I'm picturing half-naked chicks everywhere back in the green room, and he's partying his ass off. See, that's what I'm thinking of rock stars, man, and that's what I need to follow you guys around and see what actually happens.
You should.
Why do I think he'd be completely bored?
Oh, come on, man! Look at this guy.
We'll feature.
I've been backstage at a lot of shows, and it's a lot of styrofoam containers with sandwiches and maybe 1 bottle of Jack Daniels to split between 8 people. That's usually what it turns into, that in my experience. So.
Well, that's the other thing I was kind of arguing about with Chris at times. To me, it seems like the club scene seems to be different than it used to be even 10, 15 years ago, where there aren't as many local concert clubs to go to. Do you find that across the country, or is it a pretty still hot scene?
I mean, yeah, I think a lot is changing year by year. We're seeing a lot of venues, get bought out or go under. With just trying to get people in the door. But I mean, we've been playing certain markets that have had great venues in them. We've had great festival shows that we've done, and those are fun, but it's cool to get down to the club scene. And I think those are a little bit more personal, and a little bit more, active and fun to do. So I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think we've had too much issues with what we're able to do at this moment. We're ready for a booking agent. We're ready for somebody to kind of take those reins and maybe put us on a little more extensive run.
Sure.
And maybe we'll experience that,
Because see, a fat guy like me is going to die at a festival. I need to go see it where I can just go see you play, maybe another band, and hang out and have a good time and get a drink on. But if I'm on the sun and there's like a whole bunch of people there and you're playing 8 hours, I'm going to die out there. So you need to do a little bit of each for everybody.
I agree, man. The club scene is where it's at. I have a lot more fun there, personally.
Sure. Well, and one of the things, and Josh, I know you can speak on this because you've opened for a lot of big name acts. I think that's another myth in today's world that people equate to the old days, that if you got on a tour with the right guy, that automatically brings you attention. And I mean, I looked at your list, and Seven Dust and Slash and, those types of bands. They're certainly big name bands. And I don't know that I think in the old days we paid attention to everybody that was playing. If we got a ticket, it said be there at 6:30. We were in the door at 6:30.
Right.
Now it's, all right, it says 6:30. I'll be in at about 8:00, or they call the venue. I admit I'm guilty of it myself, calling the venue and saying, hey, what time does this band play? Right. I'm definitely guilty of that on occasion. Does it help you gain new fans to the level you'd like it to? Not necessarily, because I know it does. I know you play in front of Slash, you play in front of 5,000 people in front of Slash, you're going to pick off 250 people that are going to be like, oh, I like this band. I'm going to put it into my phone and check it tomorrow or whatever. But does it pick off enough to where it has the value to either buy onto a show or even if you had to just do the work and promote the show, for 2 months prior to getting into playing for that band?
Yeah, like we haven't done a full run with a big headliner. We've been fortunate to be the band that gets called when they come through Texas, and we kind of get 3 dates with them or something like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, there is truth to that where, we're going to pick up a few people, but we're not picking up, what we would want. And I don't know if that's just people are scared to try new bands out, or, there's just so many bands out that it's hard to just consume, so you kind of get stuck with those nostalgia bands that are really bringing the people, so like you said, they're going to that main band. They don't care who's really opening up. So they may show up late. They may just be there for the headliner. So the first two bands really don't, get much out of it. And nowadays it's, like I said, where you maybe have label support that can maybe get you on these tours and maybe get you paid out. It's kind of going back towards the band. And now the band's kind of having to pay this headliner to maybe jump on this thing and try to balance out your exposure, what's coming back from merch sales, what may even be guaranteed. So there's a lot of logistics that, we signed up just to play music, we signed up just to write songs. And
thought you did.
We thought we did, yeah. So it's tough. Again, I really, the only thing that's been told to me is never give up. And that's just kind of what we're doing. We're hoping that something will pop and all this, the many years will be worth it. The legwork and building a family with the band and all that, it would be justified.
Sure. And it's funny, dude, because you've been doing it, what, eight years or so now.
Right.
And let's say middle of next year, all of a sudden you have that one single that pops really big. People will be like, look at this band that just got here, that just came from out of nowhere. Meanwhile, they don't even see that 8 years of building to that level. They're just like, oh, you just arrived. You're brand new.
Right.
It's crazy.
Absolutely, man. That's exactly how it happens nowadays. I mean, I think even with Living Color, I think they said that, they were surprised with how quick it happened for them, when they came out with that album. I mean, it's slingshot,
Yeah. No, it's crazy, dude.
But it's 8 years, but it's 8 years with like 2 years off with COVID. I mean, COVID probably had to kick your ass a little bit, right?
And see, that's what I would say. I would say, can you even count those years,
Right.
We were fortunate to be one of the bands that kind of was able to stay active with, Sweetwater did a master class that brought us out there. So, we had a lot of help along the way and stayed in front of the camera as much as possible.
Right on, man. Well, dude, tell people where we should send them to keep up with you guys online and to buy merch and all that good stuff.
Sure. Go to blackheartsaintsmusic.com. We have all the dates there, the shop, all the good stuff, so check it out.
Yeah. And buy something. Don't be a cheap fuck. Buy something. Don't just stream it, for God's sakes. Hook these guys up. They need the help.
I do love the governor of this great state of Texas, though. I will say that, great state of Texas, it's a nice place.
It gets us up and down.
Good answer. Don't commit to any political shit. I'm with you.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get him to say something.
Nice. Well, dude, why don't we wrap this up by playing everybody a piece of your current single, 2 Drinks In. Why don't we wrap it up with you telling us a little bit about the song?
Cool, man. 2 Drinks In, we recorded at Orb Studios in Austin. We were able to kind of work with, Bumblefoot on kind of producing this and mastering it all up and making it nice. 2 Drinks In, it kind of tells a story of being deceived, and that's kind of what it's about. You can kind of build the story from there. Check out the music video on YouTube, but that will kind of give you more of a visual.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to check out a piece of it right now. Josh, thanks so much for joining us here, man. Black Heart Saints. Make sure you guys look it up, stream it, buy it. Well, let me just rephrase. Buy it, and buy it.
Yes.
And then, and there you go. And Josh, thanks so much for joining us here on the Seth Williams Show.
Thank you all so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you.